I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. The majority of women are addicted to blaming everything on men. Let me explain. Women will be in relationships with a man, and if there's somehow any kind of breakdown in communication or any failure to communicate, then the assumption is that a man should have just known what she meant, or he should have just read between the lines, and somehow the breakdown or the failure in communication is his fault. Women will give imaginary roles to men. So, for example, they will get into relationships expecting men to worship them and basically make them feel better about themselves. So when a woman doesn't feel good about herself, then it's automatically a man's fault. The thought process there is like, I don't feel good about myself, so what did you do wrong? Another example of this is how women are in relationships without ever communicating their needs, but expecting men to just know what their needs are. So maybe that man meets like 10 of her needs, but he meets 3 of them. So he doesn't meet all of her needs. So now she's criticizing him and still blaming him for not knowing what her needs are, even though she never communicated what those needs were in the first place. Another example of this is when women take a natural or neutral experience. So for example, a man is going to use the bathroom. Now all of a sudden he's supposedly on his phone and he's cheating on her, or he's looking at porn, or everything that he's doing is essentially like with bad intent. Thus blaming him again for just living and experiencing life. And have you ever noticed in relationships that relationships are only in trouble when the woman is unhappy, never when the man is unhappy? Because the assumption is that the role and the success of the relationship is dependent on a man, and it has nothing to do with how she's attributed or contributed to the relationship itself, because again, it's just another excuse to blame everything on men. And when you really think about it, women go into relationships with the expectation that everything is a man's fault, which is why they never have any kind of accountability. They never see how their actions like ruin a relationship, or how their actions attribute to their own unhappiness, because they're so focused on being addicted to blaming everything on men that they never see themselves as a problem. Okay, bye.